And I'm gonna feel a little bit worse after we watch this video.
Juneteenth is the oldest known celebration commemorating the ending of slavery in the United States. President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing enslaved Africans in the United States in 1862, and the 13th Amendment passed Congress, officially abolishing the institution of slavery in 1863. But it would take years for word to spread. On June 19, 1865, Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger landed at Galveston, Texas, with the news that the Civil War was over and the roughly 250,000 enslaved people there were now free. The orders read, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere."
All right, real quick, man. I don't want to skip over that sentence. They're supposed to work from home and work for wages. So essentially, when this came about, they were actually kind of told to stay put, stay where you at. All around, that message always comes across like it was just given to the people in Texas, right? To that 250,000 slaves that was still there. But that was actually how it was written. That's how it came down. So when they came, sweeping through the South, giving that message to the former, I guess at that point, Confederate states, they were basically telling them to stay in place. So I just wanted to know, had you guys ever known that before? When that actually came out, they told people don't move. It sounded a lot like freeze.
So I probably have a little bit more knowledge in this area because I majored in history and African American history to be more specific.
Okay.
So I did know that. And when I hear it, to me, it sounds like, oh, you free. Stay right here, though. Keep working, but just know you free. Mm-hmm. They're going to pay you. They're going to do right by you, which we know they have never done. So it to me, it's mind boggling. It blows my mind every time I hear that. It's just, it tickles me. It's hilarious.
But they couldn't let them go. I mean, because then who's going to do the work?
And that has been historically our problem in this country. We always need our lower class to actually do the work.
That's what I'm saying. So if they leave, then that means who's going to have to do it? Nah, not going to do that.
Get calluses on these pretty little hands.
No, dear.
Hey, let's circle back into the video. I'll pick up a couple comments again on the other side.
You might be wondering why it took so long to spread the word. General Robert E. Lee surrendered in April 1865, but Union troops didn't arrive until June. The Emancipation Proclamation only freed enslaved Africans in the Confederate States liberated by Union troops, and that didn't include Texas. Though slaves were lawfully freed, they were far from free. Many were even punished for trying to take advantage of their new rights. One former slave recalled seeing people shot and hanged after trying to escape to freedom, and another shared an account of being asked to work another 6 years and being whipped just like she was before.
So in a lot of cases, man, not only freeze, stay in place, they were actually entering into some indentured servitude, where some contracts were laid out as far as so let me back up for a second. All of a sudden, right, you're free. They came, told you got your freedom, you're a free man, you're a free woman, go do what you want to do, but don't leave. You need to stay right here and find somewhere to work and some things to do and to make a living for your family. So how did we get to that how did we not get to any real progress at that time when it was still okay lawfully for them to be beaten, to be whipped, to be persecuted like they were before? And then you enter in the fact that, again, you just drop some people off, so to speak, and they have no resources. They don't have money. They don't have land. They don't have equipment. They don't have seeds. They don't have animals. They don't have any of those things, but the ability to do the hard work. And so they had to come up with money from somewhere. So a lot of times they took loans out, right? And those loans, I don't think were at the most fair rate. So the question is, did you guys did were you taught any of this in the history book previously before becoming an adult, doing your own research, that whole nine? Was any of this kind of laid out to you or taught previously before that moment, that aha moment that came in your life over this?
No, like I said, when I started with my transparency, it took me way too long to finally figure this out. And I was like, wow, I felt stupid. I devalued myself. I pulled my own black card. Mm-hmm. And I realized that, like I said, with that being said, it triggered that I need to start making sure that I'm getting in my books, because I want my children to know. And I want them to know, because even though they may be biracial, they still will be raised in this society as black children. And they need to know that, regardless of what their skin color is. It's important.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I definitely think, hold on, we got some movement. Let me see if we can get Sinister 401 up, and we're going to take a couple comments. Hold on, Sinister, before we get you to say anything. So Tavy said, I didn't know that. You're not alone, Tavy. A lot of people didn't. Let's see. Aziza said, but the South was necessary for Northern production, so it sounds like a compromise, a bone being thrown to Southern planners. Quick history fact, even though that slavery was ended in the North, a lot of these same tactics and same loaning principles, same way of acquiring resource issues were definitely prevalent in the North as well. But they get a little bit of a pass because I guess they were leading the charge so that we're not still slaves today. And also Tavy said, I thought about the emancipation, but not in depth like that. No, man, they definitely they breezed through it. They breezed through it very quickly. So that's why we just taking a second to talk about it today. But let's hop back into this video and probably finish this thing off.
Even though the newly freed in Texas didn't receive the full benefits of freedom, they turned the day into a celebration. June 19th was coined Juneteenth, a blending of the words June and 19th. Every year, Juneteenth became a chance for people to get together with family members, measure progress against freedom, and teach rising generations the importance of self-improvement. They would read the Emancipation Proclamation, hear sermons, share meals, and play games. And many of those same traditions carry on today in Juneteenth celebrations across the country. Texas became the first state to make Juneteenth an official holiday in 1980. Since then, 46 other states and the District of Columbia have recognized Juneteenth as a state holiday or holiday observance. Although not a federal holiday, many global companies like Twitter, Square, Nike, and Lyft have made the day a company holiday in the wake of protests to end systemic racism sparked by the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Today, more than 150 years after celebrations began, June 19th is about remembering the past and moving toward a future that involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. Juneteenth, a celebration of freedom and the fight for its fulfillment.
So one amendment, obviously, right? We've since then, in the past 2 years, actually made it a federal holiday. And I always found it funny anytime I come across that fact, man, that Texas led the way with trying to make it a holiday first. Sounds like a little bit of white guilt to me, but maybe that's just me. You're the last one out, so you feel like you want to be the first one in. And then I wanted to play it even past that, that era, or outdated information, not an error at the time it was published. But it's funny that it took that event, right? It took the protests, it took the George Floyd, which is, on the list of countless different issues we have with the killing of some of our people. But it took all of that for us to get galvanized, and even for a lot of our people to know about it. So as I started out by saying is I probably should be ashamed of myself for not celebrating it, or and putting that much importance on it, because of the fact that it said a couple things, and I saw this theme running over and over again. It was all about gathering. It was all about putting on and showing your finest clothes, coming out being the best version of yourself, and self-improvement was a theme that I saw a lot of as well. And I think those are definitely things that we need in our community today. So it's kind of, shame on me, shame on us, for not having that come to us in that type of capacity to where we feel like we can represent that today. Because I think a lot of us are not representing that to the fullest like we need to be. But yeah, I'm always interested in other people's thoughts. How old were you when you learned about Juneteenth?
Too old.
I agree. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Shout
I
out to
think
my parents, my mom especially, because I grew up in a household where Black history was taught and celebrated on a regular, very regular, I see you, April, on a very, very regular basis. And so I grew up probably more educated in the area of Black history than most people. Also, I went to all Black schools most of my life here in Atlanta. And like even in high school, we had an African American history class that I was able to take. So I think I'm very fortunate in that I had people around me who were always kind of drilling in my head the beauty of Blackness and the importance of knowing where we come from, and also just knowing some of those little details that they won't teach you in school, not necessarily because they don't want you, because as a teacher, I know you can't fit everything in.
Mm,
So sometimes that's the issue, and sometimes depending on who's teaching you, they just don't care for you to know. But so for me, a lot of
exactly.
this stuff I knew at a very young age. I knew about at a very young age, and I'm grateful for that.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. What
I,
about you, CC?
I wanted to say, when I was living up north in the New England area, there was no talk about Juneteenth, nothing within the schools, whether even in the urban community, nothing that had to deal with Black history. It's only when I moved to Texas in Houston, I started getting word about what Juneteenth was. I would hear about it amongst the college crowd. And then when I came into Atlanta, I want to say the first week when I got here, I met a guy who put me onto it. And that's how I had to find out. But it goes to show you how some places they suppress our Black history. There's so much. Juneteenth's just the start of what they're hiding amongst our Black history,
Listen,
especially
man.
inventions. People don't even know that Black people built everything. Everything
Yeah,
we do is derived from some Black folk stuff,
a lot
and
of
they
them are.
stolen our stuff. Here's a little quick fact. Real quick fact. People don't even know mac and cheese was invented by a Black man. He was in France. He needed to make pasta. He made pasta. They ran out of the sauce. He was like, why don't we put cheese? Because I seen this done in Italy, because pasta was famous in Italy, and they put the cheese over there. Everybody liked it. The businessman went back to America and used that. Don't that sound familiar to how peanut butter was stolen from us? George Washington Carver. So, of course, they're going to be like, yeah, we'll give them Juneteenth to celebrate. We've been stealing all their stuff. So let's give them a holiday so they could just shut up for a little bit. They got
Get our
FBI files
reparations,
saying
please.
that. Black folks Black folks give Black folks. J. Edgar Hoover in the FBI files is documented, public documentation that let Black folks, they're going to protest for 3 days and then they'll be quiet. So don't worry. It's only when they vandalize your property, then you go in for the attack. The downtown incident.
I feel
My
you.
bad. I just had to go there. But yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of deep stuff with Juneteenth. It's all of a sudden in one of the worst American times, they showing love to Juneteenth.
Right.
No,
The
no, it's
act of
not.
slavery, because that's
Strategic.
clearly what they're trying to do to you.
That's strategic.
What?
I have a question though,
Go ahead.
and I'm not trying to hijack it, but I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So I have been seeing people who he already told me. I've been seeing people talking about the commercialization, I guess I could say,
Mm-hmm.
of it. Okay. So one of the it was Walmart that they had the Juneteenth ice cream.
Juneteenth
Exactly.
ice cream.
I did not partake in that
Exactly.
luxury, but
And they stole that recipe from a Black-owned company. Sorry, my bad. Let me
okay.
go.
That being, shame on you, Walmart. Shame on you. However, my question is then, and it kind of loops back to what you were saying earlier, Theo. Shame on us for not really celebrating. But since it's new and since we're aware or becoming more aware, how do we celebrate? And what are we going to allow to come to the cookout? Like, are we gonna buy the Juneteenth plates and cups? Are we going to how do we celebrate it?
I can't tell you that. I think that's for everybody individually to figure out. But I would say this: it would be nice if it was celebrated on a national level, and I actually had Black companies that I could personally support for those sort of things, right? And that goes back to part of the problem that we have as a people. We don't support each other in that manner. Either we don't know about it, or in a lot of cases, we just choose to spend our money elsewhere. So how to celebrate it, I don't know. But as long as you are, doing it in good faith, doing it in a good spirit, and you are spreading the message that's behind it, again, that self improvement, that gathering of family, that celebrating and remembering part of it. I think that's the essence of what we're supposed to do. Now, if you want to put on something nice while you're doing it, hey, I support that. We need to bring that back. Statistically, it's shown that less people get shot when people dress nice. But with that being said, let's take a couple comments real quick. So Aziza said, I was always taught that Tink came from former slaves, not knowing what date they were actually free. And I've heard that as well, definitely. But when I say I've heard that as well, that's probably, 10-year-old knowledge to me. It definitely didn't go back to the school books. Facebook user said they found out when they were 13. Another Facebook user also said in Mississippi, we celebrated during my teens and they stopped, but this year they started back celebrating. And you do hear a lot of cases like that happening where they were celebrating at some point, but for whatever reason it died out. In particular, when you guys get the chance, do some research on Emancipation Park in Texas. And you'll kind of get a little bit of a backdrop of how that was the first publicly owned space by Black people in the state of Texas, because they weren't allowed to gather in other places. They started to shut it down as it became more popular, because as more people gather with good intentions of spreading information, that becomes a problem with people who want to keep you uneducated. Right. Take one more quick comment. Aziza said, my problem is they made Juneteenth a federal holiday, but they want to talk about history in schools. I feel you. How do you have one and not the other? But as our government and as our media has shown countless times before, you put up one thing and you smoke screen them with the other. So just like somebody just mentioned with the Walmart, right? I've heard both sides of that before. Walmart quickly pulled their red swirled into vanilla ice cream with cheesecake bites or whatever they had in it amidst the protest that they were capitalizing on Black people's holiday. But what I've heard also from a lot of people is the real story is that they had stolen the recipe from a Black company, and that was going to be a bad look for them. So you put it out to the media that, oh, my bad, we messed it up. You get out in front of it, and then we're not talking about it later. So that's definitely been a corporate strategy that's going on for years.
Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
If people who are not Black get to have paid time off, is it really Black people's holiday?
It's a win is a win, right? If we do what we're supposed to do, the government can only do so much. Well, they can do a lot more. We ain't gonna get into that. But meaning, as far as this holiday, right? They're lacking the education in the school, but add it to the list, right? We got a whole lot of things that we should be educated on. The other part of it is, though, making it a federal holiday and having it to be observed is our job at that point, to go out and educate each other and educate our kids so that it does get to the prominence that it needs to be. Because right now, Black people don't care about Juneteenth. I'm just gonna keep it real. Black people don't know about it and they don't care about it. And the ones that are educated know about it and they're going out to gather with the passion behind it. The rest of us might just be trailing because we want to go to a party, and that's not the spirit of what it should be in my opinion.
That's fair enough.
I
But
celebrated with fireworks and a barbecue last year.
Okay, that sounds good. I was kind of
Can I say something real quick?
I'm sorry.
Hold on, Sinister. Let them finish. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was kind of taken back because, like I tell everybody, I'm from the heart of Georgia, and if you don't know, I'm not in Macon. I'm from Macon, but I'm in Warner Robins, Georgia, which is very small. It's like right off of it, and our local news station was talking about it, and there was an article, and there were people showing their faces. I won't name them here. But if I find the article, I'll probably share it on my page. Where there were people showing their faces and making comments saying it's a fake holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And they were not Black. And I was like, y'all bold. Like y'all are really out here with the knowledge that you have. It's not like this was made up.
That's the problem. The knowledge gap is the problem. Think about this. If I'm a regular white person, I don't know what that really means, but I'm gonna throw it out there like that, right? I'm a regular average white person and the Black people around me are not celebrating a Black holiday. I might think MLK Day is fake. I might think Juneteenth is fake. I might think Kwanzaa doesn't exist.
Not at this day and age. If you are on the Book of Faces as we speak, you have more than enough resources to say that is a fake. So the government just came up with a fake holiday and just said, yeah, we're going to, that's bananas. That's ignorance. And it's ridiculous.
It is ignorance, but I don't think you believe the power of the bubbles that people live in, right? Everybody lives in their own bubble.
Yes, I do.
You do, but you live in a different bubble than I do. And we both live in a different bubble than those people you're talking about do. So in respect to that, man, there's a lot of different bubbles where people are just talking amongst their own circle. If I'm just making in jokes all day with my other racist friends, right, I don't see how that affects you. And I do believe that part is real because there's a lack of empathy because there's a lack of education. But go ahead, Sinister. We cut you off. Go ahead and get off real quick.
All right, let me say this real quick. In terms of Juneteenth, I actually was part of a Juneteenth parade a few years ago. Me and my peoples, they had it set up for one of the stage plays, Shaper Productions, When a Man Knows. And where I thought I was supposed to be within the parade, because it goes down to Mosley Park all the way to downtown. My people wasn't there, so I had to walk all the way through the parade. That's one of the best experiences I've ever seen. A bunch of Black folks.
Think we lost him on a bunch of Black folks. It sounded like he was about to be good. Hey, let's take a couple quick comments, man. Doris said, this has been a very informative discussion. I'm truly enjoying it. Hey, man, we try to laugh and, talk cash money sometimes, but we got some serious things that we need to discuss as a people. So you're definitely going to get some of that here. Aziza said, I disagree that Black people don't care. I think they don't know. I think we're saying the same thing, Aziza. I don't truly think in their hearts of hearts they're ignoring it because they don't care. It's definitely a lack of education, and particularly not just making it a federal holiday or any type of holiday, but we're not being provided the actual education that goes behind it. So you see how deep that it goes and you realize the significance. Facebook user said facts. I don't know which one they talking about, but yeah, man, they all facts up here, and these facts are hard. And Nika said, great question about observing Juneteenth. Better question, how do we energize our community to observe and celebrate our history in February?
Yeah.
So, going to Black History Month. Hey, let me tell you this, though. Here's why I feel people, these conspiracy theories or people who live in the bubble who say Juneteenth is a sham. Look at how it's laid out. Look how close it's laid out to Father's Day. Look how close it's laid out to the 4th of July. Some of that, again, maybe coincidence just because that's the date of how it went, but I don't think they had a problem giving it to us because they realize how it's going to be overshadowed by those other holidays as well. So you have to keep in mind when people are giving you certain things, you know what I mean, and they got that one hand behind their back, you need to pay attention to what's behind their back.
But not only that, though, but by us talking about it now and being intentional, and the people that are listening, it can make impact. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I mean, there's somebody on here who's probably like, yeah, I never thought about it like that. So we're just going to speak positivity into that and just say we're going to go and we're going to do it big next year for sure. I will have something to speak on next year for sure. I promise you that.
So I'll say this, man. If we're blessed enough to be around this time next year, man, I want to come back with some great stories of what all you guys did for it, how you celebrated, how you uplifted, educated, and motivated each other, man. That should be the goal of Juneteenth in general. But with that said, man, looking at the time, let's go ahead and take us to our last topic that we're going to cover real quick today. This one is a little bit different. You're not going to get it in video form. I'm gonna actually go ahead and read it to you, and just so you guys know at home, man, this is a wild card to the panel. So one more time, just quick reset, man. Thank you everybody for rocking with us on the Roundtable Music Facebook group. Thank you to the people who are rocking with us on YouTube at Where It Began site or our IModelBooth game sites. Again, we go live every Thursday at 8 p.m. to discuss all types of issues, man, from celebrity stuff to important things that are affecting our community, and trying to educate you in some shape, form, or fashion, man. We're just trying to get the conversations out there, because if we don't talk about it, we can't make it better. And we got a lot of issues going on in this world. So with that being said, man, let me take you to another issue. I think this was kind of comical, kind of sad all at the same time. Some of the reactions going all over Facebook was a little crazy, but hold on. I'll slow down and explain why I read it to you. So this is called Baby Mama Drama. So it reads, my daughter's father has a new girlfriend and a new job. He's doing really well. He always gives me money. He even helps with my other kids who aren't his. But since his new girlfriend came into the picture, he still gives me money and takes his daughter every weekend, but he brings the girlfriend. I don't like her, and I told him to break up with her. He won't, so now he's going on child support. What's a reasonable amount to ask the court? I'm a stay-at-home mom and would like to stay a stay-at-home mom. Also, my current boyfriend is a stay-at-home dad, and we need support since we aren't working. So it sounds like there's a few different kids in the mix of this whole thing, and just the fact that she is afforded by our legal system to wake up one day and make those type of decisions is kind of what I have a problem with. But I'm interested to hear you guys' opinion on the topic.